Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. So today what we're going to be getting into is my initial impressions of the Orvis Pro Series hunting vest in olive. Why I bought it, what I plan to do with it, what I think of it, pros and cons. So off the bat, it should be pretty good, right? So Orvis, big name out there. If you're in the hunting or fishing sphere at all, you probably know the name Orvis. I was just in the store, I saw it, I needed one, I bought one. So without an order related to this, we're just going to get into it. So first off, a couple cons. The vest is expensive. So this particular one, the MSRP was $198 as of October of 2022. So a lot of options out there you can get for less. But when you're talking about these, like, I don't know what you call them, strap vest, H-harness vest, they're kind of like a chest rig setup, kind of Vietnamish, which is funny because they're made in Vietnam, but kind of like Vietnam era stuff going on. But when you're talking about this kind of vest, you're looking at quite a bit of money as it is. So if you go ahead and pause the video, or after the video come back, if you go to Google and you just look at like upland hunting vest, outside of like the type you put on and it's just a vest that has two small pockets and a decent sized game pouch, yeah, those you can get for about $50 to $75. But any of these like H harness style of upland hunting vests are honestly going to be in that $150+ range. If you can find one for less than that, you might want to ask yourself, hey, why is this so cheap? And depending on the brand, you can even get up to past the $400 mark on some of these. So a bit extreme, but that's the world we live in. So off the bat, I'm going to come in close to you so you can see on the shoulders we've got some blaze orange going on, right? But if you look at the whole vest, there's really not that much orange. So depending on what state you live in, this is probably not enough. So if you're out in Montana or you're out on one of the prairie states and you're hunting for those prairie grouse or pheasants, this might be enough, right? This plus an orange hat out in the prairie, yeah, you're probably good. Move into those grouse woods, those rabbit briars, that thick stuff. I wouldn't feel comfortable with this being my only orange, even if you throw in an orange hat, right? That's just me. And if you're on the East Coast, this isn't going to do. This is not going to be your 200 square inches or whatever the law is for an East Coast state. It's just not going to do it, even with a hat. So one of the things is, it's kind of a pro and con, right, is you're going to have to layer this with something. You can't just throw this on and go. So that may add to your cost, right? So you may have to pick up a vest, like in this video over here, or here, whichever one it is. So you may have to pick up a vest. You may have to throw on an orange t-shirt. You may have to do something, and depending on when you're getting into upland hunting or what your current hunting wardrobe looks like, you might have to go out and spend some more money. So you're gonna have to drop $200 on this particular vest, and then you're gonna have to go out and buy a couple of orange shirts, which aren't gonna be warm enough. So you're gonna have to go and buy an expensive wool shirt or whatever the case is. So just take into consideration price when it comes to that, right? So working our way down while I have it on is we've got these like sideways molly straps here, right? We've got a few of them. And then we've got these elastic right here, and that's on both sides. So not too sure what I'm personally going to do with that, but you can do a lot. Like I'm thinking on my non-shooting side, this is where I'm going to attach my Garmin Alpha 100 GPS unit if I don't put it on my waist, right? So nothing really to say about those. And then moving down, we've got our chest strap, which has a lot of slack and an elastic binder here, which I'm going to come back and talk about when I take the vest off. Then you've got your chest strap, and these are curved. So you can see there's some space popping out. So depending on your body size, it's going to be how much of this is actually pushing out. So instead of like laying flat like a final rise vest or another brand, the material is kind of thick and padded, right? Which is kind of cool. That is padded, especially if your game bag gets heavy and you have a lot of water or you're carrying gear for your dog. But it curves and it's coming off the body a little bit, right? Now, if you want to look at the back here, is what it looks like. It's a very large game bag, which I'm looking forward to, right? Like I could put my limit of pheasants in here, which in PA is two a day. And I could probably even throw in, if I shot 2 mallards or 2 wood ducks, I could throw those in here too, right? Problem is, if you have any like shoulder immobility problems, I can't get into that game bag, right? No matter which way I go. So if I end up shooting a rabbit or bird or whatever, I'm gonna have to take this vest off if I'm solo hunting, which is for me probably 90% of the time. Or what I'm gonna have to do is pass it off to my buddy, my dad, or whoever I'm hunting with, and have them put it in the game bag. Is that a big deal? No, not at all. But you know, it's one of those things. And is that a fault to the vest or is that a fault to my shoulders? Yeah, you decide that one, right? So that's what that is, and that's gonna be the same situation with this water pouch back here, right? I'm gonna be able to get that on this with one hand, but on the other one I'm not. So is that a big deal? No. If I need I'm getting a bird for my dog, I'm gonna give the dog some water, I'm taking the vest off anyway. It's not a big deal. It's just something you might want to be aware of. All right. We got a big waist strap here, which is cool, and pockets. So I'm actually going to take the vest off to point some stuff to you guys because it makes a little more sense in showing it, because it being on me is not necessary for me to go over what I like about the vest and what I don't like about the vest. So I'm going to take this vest off, and then we're going to talk about it again from the top down, but I'll be able to get closer to the camera. So stick around, stick with me, guys. Okay, so we got the vest off, right? And we're going to go over some stuff with you that you probably couldn't see from that angle. So one of the things that, like I was talking about, is there's a lot of these straps, right? A lot of these Velcro, or not Velcro, sorry, these elastic straps. If you've ever worn like a plate carrier, a chest rig, or worn any kind of like body armor stuff, you know that these are all well and good here as well. But the problem is inevitably, these are going to come loose. Like even just setting it up for this video, they moved. And these are ultimately, they're always going to catch on something and come loose. So not only does it look sloppy, it can just be a hassle. This can get in your way. One of these straps can get in your way while you're trying to move, swing on a bird, or it's going to catch on briars, or whatever the case is. So most likely what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up setting them where I want, and then up front I'm just going to do a single strand of like duct tape. The other thing is, if we're talking about from a longevity standpoint, after a couple of years, like if this vest, which you know for 200 bucks should last you at least a decade, these are going to go bad. They're going to lose their elasticity, and they're just going to be there. And you're going to end up cutting them up, or they're going to dry rot or whatever. So they're a good idea, but you're probably going to end up having to throw some tape on there, just a single strand of like Gorilla Tape, duct tape, or whatever, because you don't want to do too much. Because if you do too much and you have to put more clothes on, now you got to cut it off and you cut your vest or whatever. It's not cool. So that's the same thing with this waist strap. We've got a ton of material. So because it's a one size fits all, there's a lot of material on here. So for anyone with like a 28-inch waist all the way up to that dude with like a 50-inch waist or something, right? So we got that going on. Now we're going to stick to the front again. We've got two of these large pockets, which I don't think I'm going to be able to actually get to show you on the camera. Yeah, right there. So you do have a couple, I don't know, it looks like 8 to 10. You got like 8 to 10 on both sides of the shotgun shells holders. I haven't thrown any shells in here, but I know they're probably for 20 or 12 gauge. And if you're running a sub caliber, like a 410, they're not going to fit. 28, probably not going to fit. They might do a 20, 16 will probably fit, 12 will probably fit, and then if you're a crazy person and shoot 10 gauge, those might be too big too. One thing that's super nice about these pouches for your shells or whatever you decide to put in there is they do have a magnet here, so that if you forget to clamp it, it's going to stay shut. Now, if you do a backflip or something like that, it's probably going to come undone with a box of shells in there, but it's going to shut for you. And then it's got a pretty solid button system, and that plus the magnets are going to be pretty good. Now, if you'll notice here, you do have a small zipper here. I'm imagining I'd put my keys or something in there. I don't really know what I would specifically put in here. Maybe some stuff for the dog or whatever. But you only have one of them. So you only have it on your left side. There is not one on the right. So I'm not sure why they did that. They could, how much more it would have cost them to make it ambidextrous, so you have two zippers on both sides. I'm not really sure. Another thing when it comes to how large these are, and the waist belt, if you're in an area with like bears or whatever, you're gonna have to find alternative means to your waist for your bear spray or your revolver or pistol or whatever you decide to carry, because even with like a drop down, it's going to be kind of weird. And appendix isn't going to really work with this buckle. So that's something you're going to have to figure out. It is really well padded. If you can see that, you've got quite a bit of padding there. It does look like it's a breathable mesh, but I imagine during the September season, maybe even depending on state where you're at, in the later seasons, that is going to be a sweat spot for you. It's not going to breathe as well as, like, you can see there on the part for your thoracic back, on your upper back there. That's really going to breathe. That's just like plastic there. Now when we come to the back, you do have a drag strap. Hopefully it never comes to that, but I imagine that's more for clothes hangers than anything. But you do have that there. Have no idea what like the tensile strength on this is. It does look well made. And then on the back, on your H harness part, you do have two straps. So depending on the size of your torso, I have a short torso, you may have a long torso, you can make it taller or shorter. And then you have the same thing when it comes to your game bag. You've got a strap here. All of these are made of plastic, none of it's made of metal. So that's something to take into consideration. Drop my camera. So that's something to take into consideration, that they're plastic, and depending on the weather and the temperature, if it gets really cold, these buckles could freeze up and they could break. I don't think they will, but they could. You've got a very large game bag. It would be pretty impressive if you actually filled this thing all the way up to the point where you had to fill it up. I mean, I don't know where you're hunting, where you would do that. You do have a zipper in the game bag. It's very small, but that's probably where I will put like personal first aid stuff in there, trauma stuff, just in case, because if you're carrying something that can make holes, you should carry something that can fill holes, right? In the back, you got your cool Clout logo, your Orvis logo here. You have a very small pocket back here. It's very small. Where the bottom of the Orvis is, this is a seam. It doesn't go any lower than that. So it's probably big enough to put like your wallet and keys, which is probably the intended use since they have one of these cool guys in there, which is what I usually clip my keys to. Then on the back, you've got this little pack here. It opens up. It's just Velcro, so I wouldn't put anything in there that you're too concerned with. And then it's got two small little flaps in there. You've got two large water bottles here, or water bottle containers here. So I think you could comfortably, with this, with the size of these, you could put like those big Gatorade bottles that all people use, or you could throw in some large like Nalgene bottles in here. But there's no reason you can't have at least half a gallon of water on you while you're out with your dog, or if you're you know, just hunting by yourself. Have at least half a gallon of water. And then on the bottom here, you've got these buckles. These are probably the only buckles that I'm not going to put tape on, because what these are for is to put like a jacket. So say you're carrying an extra layer, you know, you're starting off in the morning and it's 20 degrees, and you know that by the end of your walk it's going to be 40 degrees. So you're going to put your jacket in here, or hey, there's potential of rain, so you're going to wrap up your raincoat and put it in there, right? It's kind of like the bottom of a rucksack for your sleeping system. So there's that. So all in all, this looks like it's going to be a very good vest. Personally, I've got a Final Rise vest on the way. So this is probably going to be like my backup vest, or my training vest, or like my keep in the car vest, just in case I forget, right? Because we all forget stuff sometimes. So some downsides, like I said, it is expensive. The shoulder harness system, the yoke and the H harness on it all, is definitely made for one size fits all, which means it may not fit you well, which could be a big deal. It could not, right? The whole purpose of this is to transfer the weight to your hips. So you might have that going on. Another thing is it's made in Vietnam, so I don't know why it's $200 when it's made overseas. I know it's not China or whatever, so maybe it's a little more expensive to produce stuff over there, but you can get an American-made vest for about $100 more and support the American economy a little more than a Vietnam vest. And the lack of orange, like I said at the beginning. Not a lot of orange here, so you're going to have to layer up. Wear your orange. There's no reason not to. The orange isn't going to stop the birds from holding tight for you or your dog, right? So that's this vest as it goes. There does not seem to be any like flaws in manufacturing. Like looking at the seam work and everything, all the seam work looks actually really well. There's no frayed material like I've seen on some other stuff. There's no thread sticking out like I've seen with some other vests and all that. So if you're going to buy one of these, I recommend looking for a sale. Every company always holds sales, or asking for some kind of discount you can get if you're a first responder or something along those lines, right? It's a lot of money for a vest. So could you accomplish the same thing with a backpack and an orange vest? Yeah, you could. That's what I did last year in Montana. But it's kind of hard to find a good backpack in orange. So recommend it? Yeah, sure. Come back to us at the end of the season. We'll let you know how we like this thing, and at the end of the training season. So we should have like 3-4 reviews on this as we push forward. If you're getting to the end of this and this helped you with an informed decision on whether you want to buy it or not, throw me a thumbs up. That'd be cool. And then if this isn't the end of the hunting season, it's not 2023, 2024, whatever the years, and you're considering buying one of these, just leave me a comment down below and I'll let you know what I think of it based off how long I've worn it, whether it's a week, a month, a year, or a decade, right? I'll send you my recommendation on that. I have no affiliation with Orvis. I doubt they'll ever reach out to me anyway. But that's the best. Appreciate you guys watching, and yeah, thanks guys.